So my parents are immigrated to Canada in the 60s, but they are Chinese, overseas Chinese living in Vietnam at the time. And my extended family, so my uncles and aunts and cousins, also grew up in Cambodia. And the year I was born, in 1975, my extended family was living in Phnom Penh at the time that the Khmer Rouge stormed in. And so the year I was born, my extended family spent approximately 40 days in the desert, wandering to figure out what was going on, and to eventually went to Vietnam, and then eventually came to Canada and also to France. So these opera scenes are based on oral history that I collected about my family, and my librettist, Royce Vavrek, turned the oral history into a libretto for me to set to music.
I think that in anything, in any project, you want the characters, you are beholden to the truth of the characters and to the ways that they think, and to create an honest portrait of them, whether they're fictional or not. And I think that you want to be respectful of real characters, of real figures that you are turning into characters in your work. But you also have to allow for the storytelling to be vital and bold. And so sometimes you have to make choices that fictionalize things somewhat, but you want to keep the truth has to be at the core of what you're doing, and allowing things to be thoughtful and honest, and to sort of come correct to your figures.
Grover and Friends is, and both Alarm and Grover and Friends are from the perspective of someone from actually my cousin, and she doesn't know this yet, but it's from the perspective of my cousin, and she's looking back, and so she is looking, she's thinking of herself in the present, and she's watching this television show. Grover and Friends is about Sesame Street, so they're learning the English alphabet through Sesame Street, and it conjures up these images of her past. And so as Xin, my singer, is just sort of analyzing the piece, there are elements of the present, the past, and also the past as the present, because that's what trauma does.
Grover and Friends actually sits slightly apart from the rest of the piece, although I would say it's a preface into the rest of the scene. It is done by the same character, although in the reality of her youth, staging her innocence and also her fears, which I think are two key ingredients in the making of post-traumatic stress syndrome. Because it is because of the innocence that the fear enters so deep. And because of the fear, the innocence, the persistence of the fear, the innocence eventually breaks. So I think it's so important to see the innocence of a child paired with the beginning of fear, that someone's going to come and get you. And this is, of course, referencing the running, running away from a regime. And I think, of course, this is talking about Cambodia, but it's really global.
And then Alarm is about her living in Canada, but then an alarm triggers images about the past. And so it's quite serious and deep, but I wanted to portray all the different colors and moods and nuances of the text. There were a lot of things about my childhood that I think, looking back, are unique to my family, and I didn't realize this until when I'm older and looking back, that there are a lot of things that this experience of my extended family trying to escape this the Khmer Rouge regime wasn't experienced directly by my immediate family, but it was certainly experienced secondhand growing up. The idea of being protective, and the idea of just little things of, little quirks about my family that I didn't realize until now. I look back and then this all makes sense, that it is through this lens of trauma.
They are very, very personal stories to Vivian that I've been able to lyricize and to come up with really the beginnings of a portrait of PTSD and what it means to survive such horrors.
What I was saying with my collaboration with Royce, one of the things that we would love to explore further is the idea of trauma and of the sort of dislocation of refugees and immigrants, especially to Canada and the U.S. and especially relating to my family. And I would love to explore that further, the idea of the effects of war and of dislocation, of this experience of being in a different world. I would love to explore that further in a more a further reincarnation of this project.